And we're recording. Hello there, I'm Robin Sanabria. I'm a psychologist with the Counseling Center, and we're here today with Coffee with the Counseling Center, and we have our special friends from Student Support Services, and we love you guys, so we're so glad we could have you guys with us today. The purpose of this discussion is just to have a collaborative interaction together so that we can record this for the USI students and family and parents and even staff who want to know more about what you guys do and all the great work that you're doing and all the wonderful things that you do to support your students. So without any further ado, why don't we go around and have you guys tell us a little something about yourself, and then also a little bit about how you became interested in working with students at the university in the student support program.
Okay. Well, I'll go first. My name is Aaron Pryor. I'm the director of the Student Support Services program. I'm actually in my 5th year in the program. Spent the first 4 years as the academic counselor. So I was actually became interested in working with this population because my background is in social work. So my passion leading into higher education was working with individuals who were in poverty. My background is working with specifically with individuals who were in the homeless population. So I worked with street homeless individuals here in the Evansville area, and worked for an agency called Aurora. And after working with them for a while, I was just kind of looking for other opportunities. And I was really drawn towards my other passion, which is education. And so looking around and researching what existed out there, TRIO and Student Support Services kind of marriage those two things, since we work with students who are first generation, come from low income backgrounds, or have disabilities. So so I was able to find a place on campus that allowed me to do social work in a higher education setting. And so I was really drawn to be able to provide kind of holistic services to our students. And a little bit about myself. I am a father of 2. Just had a new one born 3 months ago, which has been crazy because he was born at the start of our pandemic. And so it's been great being home with him for the past 3 months. And I like to go out and do things as family, get out, go on walks, stuff like that, just to get some fresh air during all this craziness.
Are you calling him the pandemic baby?
No, but he is a leap day baby. So,
Oh,
yeah. So that was pretty. He came in a unique way.
okay, cool. Thanks for introducing us. Okay, who's next? My goodness.
I'll go next.
Okay.
My name is Va Kuhn. I am the academic counselor at TRIO Student Support Services. I started in January, so it's been quite a ride with the pandemic and learning the position and meeting different students. So it's been really exciting, definitely. So I've been in higher education for almost 2 decades. I started right after graduating from college, and I've been teaching in different contexts for almost a decade in higher education, as an adjunct and as a graduate teacher and a graduate assistant teacher. And then recently I transitioned away from higher education, and I worked in the nonprofit just like Aaron did. I founded a small nonprofit called Southwest Indiana Yoga Project, which advocates for community health. So that's another passion of mine. But I was feeling I missed higher education and working with university students. So when this position opened up, I was really excited about it. I'm a first generation college student myself, and I'm also an immigrant. So lots of unique experiences to bring to SSS. So a little bit about my family. We live on the east side of Evansville. I met my husband a few years ago, and we have 3 fur babies. So no human babies, 3 fur babies.
Very cool. Good. Macy, want to go next?
Sure. My name's Nacy. I'm the graduate assistant with Student Support Services. I'm getting my master's in social work, so TRIO is like right up my alley. Like what Erin said, Erin contacted me back in August and kind of explained what TRIO did and that it was a lot like casework at the academic level. So with social work, I was all for it, and I was hooked as soon as I read his email and all the great things that the program does. So yeah, they haven't got rid of me yet. So I guess I'm pretty cool. But
Okay, and Medea, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think that I'm the last one left. Apologize for that. I was outside enjoying this beautiful weather, and then I think everyone decided to mow their lawns like around me. So big scoop. And then my dog decided to try to join me here. So
Oh,
I think I'm officially set. My name is Medea Erickson. I'm the academic coordinator for SSS, and a little bit of background about myself. I ran my own organization for 10 years, working with those who were struggling with opioid addiction and their families. And at the time I was running that, I really realized that a lot of the struggles that individuals had was education and not being able to access that. And that seemed to be a great promise that the more educated you were, the less opportunity that you may have to fall into kind of some of those patterns. And I was working with students quite a bit, and so that led me into the realm of understanding how important education was. And a lot of the students that were struggling were students who were first generation students, or would be if they went to college, low income, students with documented disability. And so I decided to take a leap and leave the position I was at and go into a second master's, and completed that because I wanted to specifically go into higher education so I could work with college students. And that's what led me to TRIO at Murray State University, and I worked there 2 years before I came to USI, and found USI and fell in love with it. Fell in love with the idea of the university, just enjoying working with their students individually and supporting them in that way, which led me to seek out a position, and ironically led me to a TRIO position that opened up, which I was already in TRIO at Murray State, and interviewed, met Erin, and have been here since last September. So not much longer than Boz. So we're both still a little bit learning the ropes. And I guess an interesting fact about me is that were we asked for an interesting fact? I guess I'm so used to doing these introductions. I'm just like,
I think that you should tell us an interesting fact.
I was just thinking, we do these things all the time with students, and we always ask them to have an interesting fact. And as I said that, I thought, wait a minute, I don't know that we're supposed to do an interesting fact.
No.
Oh, absolutely right. Well, I used to be an opera singer, so my first master's is in opera musical theater, and I kind of veered away from that quite a bit to help other people get free of their addictions and find a great quality of life. So that's an interesting fact. But I am married to my husband, as we just celebrated our 33-year wedding anniversary last weekend. We have 2 grown daughters and a son-in-law, and we have 2 fur baby cats and a fur puppy baby right here next to me. And I think that's about it.
Very cool. I like your fun facts.
And Virginia is one of our SSS mentors.
Yes. And I happen to be related to her, which is why we don't have to social distance, right?
Yes.
So do you want to say a little bit about yourself, Virginia?
Sure. I am a junior at at USI, and I'm a biology major. So I guess I don't know, messed up a little bit because I was an accounting major. So I still have a lot of biology to do, so I probably won't graduate next year, but that's okay. I am a mentor for the program this year, but we haven't really done anything yet, but that's okay. Other stuff. I got involved through the program. I was my senior year of high school. The week after I got back from the 10-day amazing Europe trip that we had. senior year. A few days later, I had a biopsy on my neck, and then the end of that week, I was diagnosed with cancer. So, yeah, and so I basically was just needing a program to get involved, just because this was freshman year. So I wasn't able to go to any of the like events, like the freshman year events that you're supposed to go to like meet everybody. I couldn't do that because it was too many people around me while I was going through chemotherapy, and I couldn't, risk getting sick or anything like that. So, yeah, so I joined Student Support Services to help me out because I didn't really know what to do. This was like the end of July basically, and I literally had all my classes planned out that I was going to take, and then I had to go to my advisor, and I was like, hey, I actually can't take any in person. I have to take all online. So I took a full like credit hour online my freshman year, and I was in the hospital. So I would spend like 2 or 3 days here at home, and then I'd drive about 5 hours down to Memphis at St. Jude, and then I would do homework in the hospital while I was having like chemo treatments and all that stuff. And then yeah, it was pretty interesting having to do all that at one time. Like I'd be on a test, and then a nurse would come in. The nurse had to come in every 15 minutes and check my vitals and everything. So he'd be like, oh, you're taking a test? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I think it's C. And I'm like, like that. So yeah, but just interesting stuff like that. And so that was my freshman year, and I completed it. I kept my 4.0 and had all A's, and yeah. And then I went on after that. After in December, technically December I ended, and then January. Well, technically there was a little bit of a little problem at the end of January, but it was fine. Everything was fine. And so the New Year's, I don't know if it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I think it was New Year's Eve. Yeah. That my oncologist called me. Like he was like at home on vacation, and he had gotten the results like in his email. It was like 7:00, and he just called me on his cell phone, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" So yeah.
Yeah, he was calling to say that she was cleared to take classes in person. So, and this is why I have such a special place for what you all do, because within a week we were at USI getting everything switched, and I didn't know what to do. And one day I was calling, and I saw this Student Support Services, and I thought, well, surely they'll support my daughter. So I called, and Aaron picked up the phone, and he said, look, we got this. And it was just such a relief to take all our classes, get everything switched. We went and worked with disability services, and you guys have worked seamlessly together, and all the support that you've given us. So I just really greatly appreciate that. So it's been an experience. And now, hopefully, as we move forward, she's going to be one of your mentors. So I'm very excited about that. But okay, so do you want to tell us anything about what makes you all a unique team?
Well, I think the one thing that is really cool about our team is that even though we're all very unique, I think that there are aspects of each of our backgrounds that align with some of the experiences that our students are having. And so I really like that it's not just a matter of like talking the talk, but we've walked the walk in many aspects. And so I really appreciate that, because I don't know how many times, even as I've been meeting with students, where I'll say like, if I could have redone school differently, this is what I would have done. Or like, I wish I would have known this when I was in school, because I was first generation myself and from a low income background. And so I really appreciate the fact that I kind of like lived, and I think we've all lived the experience as like a trial by fire, and we get to use that as an experience to inform our students, which I really like about our program.
Absolutely. Okay, so speaking about your program, I keep using, so I call you guys Student Support Services, but educate me. I should be calling you the trio. Is that right? But there's not 3 of you. There's 4. Oh. So how should people call you? What should they call you?
Yeah, so we are Student Support Services. I try to tack on TRIO as a part of our name when I can, because TRIO programs are a much larger entity than just student support services. TRIO actually comprises of several programs, I think 7 or 8 different kinds at this point. But when TRIO programs first originated back in 1965, and when funding came around for student support service back in 1968, there were just 3 programs. So TRIO actually stands for the 3 original programs that initiated from the Higher Education Act of the time. And so TRIO programs they're really cool in that we have a long history of always kind of being on the forefront of like social justice within the higher education realm, because our funding and our program really sprang out of the civil rights movement. So there was like an obvious disparity between individuals from low income backgrounds and those who were kind of the traditional college students at the time. And so I like for us to always be associated with the TRIO brand, so that our students know that we're part of something larger than just being a support on campus. Because I think that a lot of programs can throw support in their name, and so it could be kind of confusing, and we can get lost. We can get lost in the shuffle. And so I always like to make sure that folks know that we're part of the TRIO family, since we're a part of something larger. Last year, we actually saw over $1 billion in appropriations for TRIO funds across the nation. And so
Wow.
when students come into our student support services program, it's important for them to know that that's more than just you're getting some services here, but you're a part of something larger on a nationwide scale.
So we can call you TRIO or Student Support Services and
Absolutely.
stuff. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So why don't we dive in, and why don't you tell us about the student support program, how it developed, how long the program's been at USI, just kind of outline.
Sure. So at USI, we are actually finishing our 10th year at USI. So student support services programs recently celebrated 50 years nationwide. As I said, the funding started back in 1968. They've been around for over 50 years nationwide, but we've been around for 10 years at USI. So our program is grant funded, and we exist in 5-year cycles. So we're finishing up our 2nd grant cycle currently, and we've already rewritten for grant cycle 3, and we're waiting to hear back about the results for that. But as soon as we hear from that, then we'll be here for another 5 years. And so we're excited to start that 3rd grant cycle. And one thing that is really kind of cool about student support services and like our history is we are always graded upon a couple different factors within our program. So the government is always looking at things like our retention rates, our graduation rates, and our students who are remaining in good academic standing. And so we set our objectives within a grant based off of other students at the university that would be eligible for our services. And then we look at those numbers compared to like the general population. And one thing that's really cool is that year after year, because of the individual support that we provide to our students, all 3 of those numbers are higher than the general population at USI. So students who come into school without the additional barriers, we bring students into our program that naturally have a higher number of challenges. And traditionally over those past 10 years, our students are outperforming the general student population, which has been really cool.
Very nice. So tell us a little bit about the roles of the student support services team. Who's doing what?
Sure. Well, as the director, I do a lot of the administrative stuff. One of the things that I think is really important, just to kind of throw out there as a general piece of information, is we all meet with students, and we're very collaborative in our approach with students. So if one staff can't meet with their assigned student, then another staff member can, and we function in a very collaborative way. But so I carry a small caseload, but then oversee kind of the general administration of the program, oversee the budget and things like that. But a lot of the big work is being handled by Va and Medea, being on the front lines with our students. So I'll let them kind of talk about their roles.
Yeah, I actually meet with quite a bit of our students and along with Va, and we have specific students that when you come in as a freshman, you'll be assigned to one of the three of us. And the great thing about our academic counseling or advising is that once a student is assigned with us, they will be with us until the time they graduate, unless requested to be with someone else. And we are all very different, and that wouldn't be uncommon for a student to connect with one of us better than the other. And so we are open to that. Ideally, it's great when the student comes in that they'll have that relationship and build that relationship with an academic counselor until the time they graduate. So that's a lot of fun for us because we really get to form secure bonds with our students and also offer them that secure bond as well all the way through college. So I meet with quite a few of the students, and Va and I think, have equal student loads, and we help each other when the other one's out. I also oversee the mentor program and the SSS tutor program, and as Virginia stated, she's a part of. And we haven't done anything yet for this year because of COVID-19, unfortunately. So we're on hold with a lot of the plans that we had, but it's a really neat program. Research and study is hands down in favor and shows support of students succeed more frequently, having a mentor, a peer mentor when they come into college. And so every freshman or new student that comes into SSS will be partnered with a SSS mentor for that first semester. And so I'm really excited. We have a great program planned. The mentors are trained, the mentees are trained when they come in because they offer a lot to the relationship. And we usually have a retreat and a really fun day planned and the reveal party. Everything's just on hold right now because of COVID-19. So I oversee both of those along with Erin and Va. We work collaboratively, and that's basically what I do.
I also meet with students like Medea and like Erin, and we do, for different reasons, academic coaching or academic counseling. So for whatever purposes that the students might need, I'll meet with students. And as Medea mentioned, the students stay with me throughout the course of their career at USI. So once they're assigned to an advisor, they stay with us. So that's been really great, even in the short 6 months I've been at USI, to see the student grow from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester. So that's been really fun and exciting. I am also in charge of different programming. So what that means is I organize and design and plan different events and activities for our students so that they can, one, connect with each other students in the program, but also to the greater campus community. So the USI community. So just learning about different resources, growing in different ways, attending different arts and theater events or different community events in Evansville. So that's what I do along with the help of Macy.
Yes, so that ties into what I do. As the GA, I'll help Va with program events, do flyers and all that, and also help Aaron out when he needs things done for like administrative things and all that. I'm kind of like that filler. They send some things my way and I bust it out and all that.
And Macy helps all of us.
Yeah.
Good, very good. Okay, so tell me a little bit about who is eligible. What is the requirements to become a student in the Student Support Services Program?
Sure. So we serve 3 different categories of students. So we serve students who are either, so these are all either or statements. You don't have to meet all of the criteria. But we serve students who are first generation college students. So that means that neither mom or dad currently hold a bachelor's degree. So I like to clarify this word because I think some people get confused. If a parent or guardian has an associate's degree, but they don't have a bachelor's degree, they're still first generation. If their grandparents have a degree, but their parents do not, they're still first generation college students. And if their siblings have degrees, but they do not, they're still first generation college students. So, so they're really looking at that most immediate line of support. So does mom or dad or their parent or guardian have the ability and the knowledge to help transition you into higher education? So if not, then you're a first generation college student. We also serve students from low income backgrounds. So there is a formula for us to determine that, but the easiest indicator would be like if a student is receiving a Pell Grant, which is free funds from the federal government, then generally they are going to meet our criteria. And then in the state of Indiana, if you are a 21st century scholar, then that's usually a good indicator as well, as it's an income-based program. So, and then the other would be if you have a documented disability. So for us, for you to be eligible for disability purposes, if you are receiving accommodations on campus through disability resources, whether that be for like physical or for mental, if as long as you are registered with the Office of Disability Resources, then that is the verification that we need for our program. And the students who are in our program, we only serve 140 at any given time. So of those 140, some students only meet one criteria, some people meet two, some people meet all three. And so as long as you meet one, that gets your foot in the door. But we are capped at 140, so we do have an application process that students have to go through to get connected to us initially.
Very good. Okay, so tell us about the application process.
Okay. Yeah, and let me go ahead and share my screen too, so that I can kind of guide folks through the application process. So the application process is pretty simple. First, so the website I'm showing you is just our student support services page under the USI website. So if you were to come into the USI website and just search student support services, you would come to this kind of general landing page that talks about our program. We have a bunch of tabs down here on the side that you can like refer back to in terms of like what we do in terms of our services, frequently asked questions. But if you go to how to become a member, then this has a link directly to our online application. And so that's the first step for anyone that's interested in getting connected to SSS, is they would need to complete the application. The application can be done 100% online. And as soon as we receive that application, then the application gets assigned to one of our staff, so either Medea or Va, and they will reach out to that student to set up an interview. So the thing I like to mention about our interview part of the process is the interview. I think when people think of that word in a traditional sense, they think of putting my best foot forward, showing up kind of dressed to the nines, and trying to sell myself to someone. But for us, the interview is more of like a get to know you kind of session, where we're looking to learn a little bit about your background, your interest in the program, for you to discuss like what are your specific challenges so that we know how we can best serve you. So sometimes when I'm talking to a student during an interview, I even tell them like, you don't need to put your best foot forward. Like, I want to know what kinds of struggles you're going to have, because we won't know how to help you unless you tell us kind of upfront what kinds of barriers you think you're going to be facing. So, and then once we go through that application process, then there are some things we do on our side, and then we will reach back out to the students and get them started in our program in that semester. So the summer is the best time to apply to our program, because we, like I said, we only serve 140. And so the largest exodus of our students is after the spring semester. So we have students that graduate in the fall, and we have a large number of students that graduate in the spring. And so the summer is the best time to slide in. But if you are interested in our program and it's not the summertime, you can always apply. And if we have a spot, then we'll try to get you slid in there as well. And then we do maintain a waiting list. So if for some reason you can't make it into the 140, we can still kind of meet with you and triage your situation and help get you referred to appropriate resources. And then we'll put you on the wait list. And as soon as a spot opens up, then we can reach back out to you to see if you're still interested in receiving our full services.
Great. I think that looks like a pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah, and if students have any questions, we always encourage them to call or email, or they can reach out to any number one of our staff. And we work 12 months out of the year, so anytime that they need to get a hold of us, they can. We can walk them through the process.
What kind of involvement do you typically have with the parents of the students who are in your program? What would you say about that?
I would say that varies student to student. So students coming to our program, most of them are 18 or over, and so they're coming in as young adults, and so with that comes their independence, and so we give them the freedom and the choice to determine kind of what level they want their parents to be involved. So if it's a situation where we feel like parents need to be involved more, we may bring that up with the student. So for example, some of the students that we have in our program are on the autism spectrum. And sometimes when you're working with someone on the autism spectrum, it helps to bring in the family, because they have they have a more intimate working knowledge of what works for students and what doesn't work for students. But I would not say immediately that we're always getting parents involved, because in some situations, parents can be the issues that students are having as well. And so sometimes we almost need to help distance the students from parents. And so everything is handled on a case-by-case basis. And we help students kind of determine what level of involvement is best for them as well. So.
Very nice. How has the student support services had to adapt because of COVID? You guys.
Everything has had to adapt with COVID. So we really kind of pride ourselves on meeting frequently with our students during the school year. We like to have a lot of face-to-face time. As a matter of fact, we encourage our students to meet with us no less than 3 times a semester, is kind of what our minimum goal is for our students. And so we're always touching base and checking in and making sure that there's no like red flags. And so we haven't been able to do the face-to-face, but we have still maintained like the same level of contact. So now it's shifted to phone calls and Zoom sessions, and not being able to meet up in person, but we're still reaching out. We're still emailing our students anytime we see like midterm or final grades, still making course recommendations. So there's just more being done through a digital format, but the same kind of services are being provided. We've also done some shifting in our programming as well to some online offerings. I'll actually let Va talk about some of the stuff we've done already and one of our upcoming events also, so they can have a sense about how we're still even trying to do programming during this time as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Most of our programming has transitioned to a virtual platform. So instead of being able to meet in the same room, or actually one of our major event activity was canceled. We were planning a trip to DC for the summer, and unfortunately because of COVID-19 we did have to cancel that, and I saw Virginia nodding her head, so I know it was a huge disappointment to a lot of our students, but we tried to provide as many programs as we can during this time, because we know that a lot of students are feeling isolated and or afraid. So especially recently, Macy and I are getting together to plan a program for to allow students space to discuss their emotions and reactions and thoughts about racial tension in America or racial relations in America. So that will be upcoming at the end of June, and we're putting the last few details on that. And we're also doing a summer book club. So we're reading Michelle Obama's Becoming with some students. So if you're so interested, Virginia.
I even have the book in there. You can have my copy.
So we'll provide the books for the students, but we ask that students read it and discuss their thoughts about the book with us. And we're doing that virtually, so via Zoom. So really switching to virtual platforms, especially Zoom.
Yeah. And I know that Medea has met with some of her students in group settings and had kind of like an open forum to come in and discuss with her. And I know one day kind of did like a kind of an impromptu kind of cooking simply while at home with the stuff that you have. And I know Macy put together a cooking on a budget that she did via Zoom as well. So so we're still putting things out there in a digital format.
Yeah, she could use that. So I don't know if you want that. Maybe. Okay. So what are the costs or fees involved for students that are part of the Student Support Services program?
I think one of the most amazing things of our program is that all the services that we offer are 100% free. And for most of our students, there's actually like a cost benefit. So if students are just getting the bare minimum services from us, they're just coming in for and meeting with students for like advising and things like that, then there's no cost whatsoever. But as students get more involved, they start to see that cost benefit. So like Vaugh mentioned, some of our programming efforts, like going to different like theater events and plays and stuff. So we will pay for our students to go to those things. We have a couple things on campus like the Martin Luther King Luncheon, the International Food Expo. So we want our students to have a well-rounded college experience. And we know that with low-income students being a part of our target population, there are certain things that if they weren't connected to us, they wouldn't have that opportunity to do on their own. And so we're always finding ways to offer cool experiences for our students and pay their way to go. One of the things that Medea and I got to do this last winter, which was really awesome, we try to take our students to a student leadership conference every year or every other year. And this last year, it was really cool because it was up in Chicago. And so our students got to go to a leadership conference, and then we got to see Hamilton on Broadway on Chicago
Cool.
as a part of that experience. And so the students that got to go to that, we paid their way for the leadership conference, the lodging, the Hamilton tickets, and all that. So, and that's something that most individuals may not get a chance to do. And then if a student is actually a Pell Grant recipient, we have something called grant aid within our program. And so students can apply for grant aid, which is, it functions basically like a type of scholarship for our students. So if you are one of the students that meets that income eligibility, then you are also eligible to apply for grant aid. So you can actually walk away with some additional funds as well by being in our program.
Sweet. Okay, so how do you collaborate with other departments? I can tell you in terms of the counseling center, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this little recording of meeting with you so that we can help, because we often have students that come through our doors that meet your criteria. And I believe we've worked pretty closely together with you all when we refer folks, and just also sometimes we have students that it helps the student, and the student wants us to work together and be on the same page. So I think we sometimes have releases signed so that we can talk freely with you all if the student is okay with that. But would you like to elaborate any more in terms of other collaborations you have with other departments or even with us?
Sure. Yeah, there are some folks that we collaborate with on a pretty regular basis, the Counseling Center being one of them. The Office of Disability Resources is another huge collaborator. In a similar sense, where we have our students sign releases with them as well, knowing that a student that has disabilities and are seeking accommodations, they can always benefit from a team approach in addressing those additional barriers. And so we work closely with the staff from the Office of Disability Resources. And we work with a bunch of different entities on campus for programming as well. But instead of me like just kind of going through and listing, I would be interested in like just having the staff talk about some of their collaborations, either like regarding like programmatic things or even working like one-on-one with students, because it's certainly true that it takes a village with our students. And so, you know, we may be working with one student, but in order for that student to be fully served, we may have to get 10 different groups involved. So I'd love to hear the staff talk about some of their experiences as well and some of their collaborations.
I can go first. I've done a few programming events with different departments at USI. We've worked with the rec, with Catherine over there, and we've done some mindfulness like programming. And then we've also partnered with some professors to do like an Excel workshop. And then there was an academic strategies workshop that we did with, why am I drawing? Yeah, academic skills. Academic. So those are a few things that I've run into.
We've also worked closely with the Career Services Office. They provided a resume building workshop for our students. And then we're also planning, we were hoping to have an etiquette lunch. So professional etiquette, how to navigate a professional setting if you have to eat a meal or if you have appetizers. So just allowing students to learn certain professional skills so that they can take those with them once they graduate away from USI. One of my favorite workshops that we did that Macy organized for us is the Excel workshop, and it was really cool. So we collaborated with James Powers, I believe, a professor in the business school. But what I really liked about that was it was for our students, certainly, but we also invited staff and different administrators throughout the campus to come, and they did show up. So that was really exciting.
That's cool.
Our students learning alongside staff and administrators.
And I'll follow that. She had mentioned a faculty member. One thing that I really love about SSS and USI is that SSS does get the joy of collaborating with so many departments across the university. One of my favorite groups to collaborate with are faculty. And when we meet with students on a regular basis, if they're struggling in courses or they're struggling to get to class for some other reason, or they have a medical reason, or maybe they're just not getting out of bed and we need to try to encourage them getting to class, we will work alongside faculty and communicate with their professors. And I've really enjoyed getting to meet a lot of the faculty through that. And like Erin said, when I may have some students that I'm having to collaborate with the financial aid office, I'm having to collaborate with different faculty members, I'm having to collaborate with Brody Brashears, the Vice President of Student Success. I'm having to collaborate with academic skills to try to get them into tutoring, trying to connect some of our SSS tutors with them. I'm having to collaborate with the Bursar's office. It's a really neat position to be in as a staff member because I get to meet so many people and professionals across campus which indirectly introduces a student to all those professionals and networking. So it's been a really nice joy to see so many people that come together just for one student. I've had individual students where all the departments and individuals are coming together to make sure that students succeed. And that's been a lot of fun.
Good. Absolutely. All right. So getting close to wrapping this up, I guess, are there any plans that you guys haven't already mentioned in terms of programming or whatever for the summer and for the fall that you want to bring up? Anything else?
So right now, it's a little lighter in terms of student load because a lot of our students are not taking classes over the summer, but we do have students that are engaged in summer classes. So for those students, it's still business as usual. Just because summer hits, it doesn't mean we stop reaching out to our students. So, so we're following up with our summer students right now. We are following up with students from the spring semester who still need assistance with the registration for the fall, and following up with individuals in terms of like getting holds taken care of and things like that. So there's still a lot of student interactions that are going on right now. Our big focus over the summer shifts to recruiting our new students. So like I said, right now, being the summer is like a perfect time to get involved and to apply to our program. So we're doing interviews for students right now. We already have applications coming in. So if a student sees this video and you're interested, like the sooner the better, because we're having applications coming in every day. We're going to keep some programming stuff going. Like I said, we have like Bob had mentioned, we have the book club coming up and a couple other things that we're working on. So, and we're doing a lot of prep work for the fall over the summer. So there are still a lot of unknowns for the fall in terms of like what kinds of programming we're going to be allowed to do, what kind of workshops we're allowed to do, what kinds of capacities we're going to be able to have within a room. And so so we are kind of existing in an unknown like most of the campus. But the thing that I think is important for our current students and to prospective students to know is that regardless of what the campus throws at us, we will adapt to it. And I think that's important because that's kind of our mantra in our daily work as well. So like whatever a student has going on, like we'll adapt. We'll find a way to work around things so that students are still getting the services, they're still getting the attention that they need. So a lot of the fall is kind of up in the air, but we will offer as much programming and as many cool experiences for our students as we're going to be allowed to within the realm of what is allowed by the university during this pandemic. So.
Okay, last but certainly not least, what advice do you all have for students who'll be attending USI in the fall?
Okay, and I want to hear from everybody on this, in Virginia especially too, having the student's perspective. I think my advice for students is going to be to get involved early. And when you have a program, if you're connected to a program like Student Support Services, and you have someone that's giving you this like wealth of information and saying, here are some like best practices, here are some things that you should really be doing to get the most out of your schooling experience and to get ahead in your classes early. My suggestion is take a lot of that at face value, and even if it doesn't seem like super interesting or like it feels out of your comfort zone, like jump in and just see how it goes, because I can't tell you how many students, like I'll have a conversation with them during their freshman year, and then their sophomore year or junior year, they come back and they're like, I got a little bit off track my freshman year. I really wish I would have listened to you earlier and just did what you told me earlier on in the process. So if you're using a service that's meant to provide you the kinds of holistic services that we do, definitely like take advantage of us for sure.
And I would jump on that and say, take advantage of SSS, but also take advantage of all the resources that USI has to offer. There's so many amazing resources at USI, and you'll be learning about all of them. This will be the only time in your entire life that these will be offered to you free of cost as a student at USI. So once you graduate, it's kind of an a la carte thing. You're going to be paying for those separately here and there. So take advantage of they have amazing resources, and don't be afraid to ask somebody, hey, do they have some kind of counseling services I hear? Is there any kind of place I can go to get extra tutoring? Those are all things that SSS, we educate the students about, and they'll also be educated during the orientation. But take advantage of those. Like, don't be afraid to walk in that academic skills room and learn how to sign in and sit down and find a tutor and start working. The first time you do something, it is going to be scary and different, but a week or two later, it's going to be normal routine. So I just encourage you to take advantage of what USI has to offer.
Great.
Mine's a little bit more along the lines of personal development. So I would tell students to be curious and be open. So if there's an activity or an event that's really new to them, try it out. There's, see how it goes and be open to that possibility. But also maybe if there's somebody on campus who you feel as if you have nothing in common with them, have a conversation. Be open to a friendship with somebody who's very different from you and your background. That's what college is about. It's about stepping into a little bit of discomfort so that you can become your best self.
My advice would be to be open-minded and to also accept the failures and the success. Recognize your emotions towards it because you can't grow in your comfort zone, so step outside the box. And things will probably not go the way you planned, and that's totally okay. Be open-minded towards it. It's a process. You might go into college thinking you want to do one thing and make a complete, 180, go the other way. And yeah, so just be open to the process and you're going to grow so much and accept growth. And yeah.
Great.
I think with Macy, just going along with that, we have a running saying in SSS and pretty much across USI, I think we're always telling our students and trying to affirm to them that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And so that's something we're constantly reiterating and trying to encourage students to understand. When you come, you are going to have these ideals of what things are going to be like, but there's going to be times that you're not going to be okay. And that's okay. That's what all the resources are there for.
Excellent. You got any words of wisdom?
Bring us home, Virginia.
I would say kind of along the lines of all y'all, like, just do it. Like, it doesn't matter at the like, it matters, but it doesn't, like, if you don't like get a good grade or something, it's not like the end of the world. Or and like the expectation, like the college life kind of thing that you have, like, it may not always like go like that. Like, so like I know in my experience I had some checkpoints that I was gonna do my freshman year. I was gonna always be tan. I was gonna dye my hair. I was going to get a tattoo. I was going to lose weight. And I was going to be a 4.0 student and work and have a lot of money. Those are my things. That didn't happen. And it's okay because like my experience was different, but it wasn't, it didn't shut me down or anything. It probably made me, stronger, because now I'm like, well, I'm a biology major, but I'm not very good at biology. So I'm just kind of like winging it and going for it. And like another thing I would say too is like a lot of people are like, well, we need to go to these fancy colleges and they're really hard and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, a biology degree is a biology degree. Like, at the end of the day, if you know your stuff, like, people aren't going to care where you get it from. Like, it's great if you want to go to the super hard schools, like, that's super. But if I can do the same thing, then I'm going to, I just don't push yourself and don't be like, I'm going to take 18 credits and I'm going to be in all these things and no, don't do that. Like, just allow yourself time to breathe too. And just know that like when the ship goes down, it's going to come back up eventually. Yeah, that's my advice.
Okay. All right. That tattoo thing didn't work out.
Yeah, I saw your face, Robin.
But like I said, you guys are great. I wasn't a USI employee when we went through this stuff with Virginia, but when the opportunity came up, it's because partly the connection I made with you guys and what a wonderful support you are for our students. And so thank you so much for what you do, and keep on keeping on. And I know we'll be connecting as time goes on. So thank you for this. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording if you want to hang on just 1 minute. So.